$5.9 million. You got to be kidding me. Welcome to another episode of the Good Intelligence Sports Podcast Show. Today we're going to be discussing a subject with my home team, the New Orleans Saints, and the Michael Thomas situation that's going on right now. First thing I need y'all to do is hit that subscribe button if this is your first time viewing me, and hit that like button also. It helps go a long way with the YouTube algorithm. We're getting the videos out to the mass public, and I greatly appreciate it. So this is where it all starts, right? You know, week 1 Tampa Bay game, Michael Thomas injured his ankle and at the end of the game. And he's not right the entire season. I'm sure he played through pain. I'm sure it was he wanted to be there for his teammates, but he physically could not do it. And everyone knew that this was probably Breeze's last ride. Andrew Breeze, as I call him. It was his last ride. It was his last go around. And Michael Thomas is a key component to the Saints offense. And him not being able to be there, I'm sure it hurt him, and it damn sure hurt the Saints' chances for a Super Bowl run in victory, right? But he's coming off a record-breaking season. He just signed his a big contract, and I'm sure he wants to prove it, so to speak, right? But he couldn't. He physically couldn't due to his ankle. And wide receivers, contrary to popular belief, they need their ankles, right? So Michael Thomas comes back during the season. He's practicing, right? He's been activated to full participation, as they said in the news media, and out of the blue, we get a report one day that he's been suspended. Then the reports come out that he's been suspended because he got into a fight with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? And we've seen Chauncey in action during the game. And I'm sure that Chauncey probably told Michael Thomas something really, really, really out of the box for Michael to punch on him, right? But we've seen that Chauncey gets under players' skin. I don't know what he's telling the people, but whatever he's telling them, it works. And he got punched on by a Chicago Bear last season, right? But so he gets under players' skin, and I'm sure he gave it a little bit too much to Mike, and Mike let him know that you can't whip my ass though. So, but then Mike comes back from the suspension and he plays a couple games. He looks decent. He doesn't look his dominant self, but he looks decent. And then he has to go out again, and because his ankle probably just isn't right. We know how this story ends, right? He comes back in the playoffs and he's okay for the Bears game, but then the Tampa game, he's just not there at all. He has 0 catches for the game. Saints lose due to Jerry Cook being a bum that he is, fumbling, and Saints lose. Tampa Bay wins, goes on to win the Super Bowl. So now we're in the off season, and I vividly remember the report that Michael Thomas was going to have surgery on his ankle in February, right? That was the last I heard of it. I thought he had the surgery, but there was no, who am I? I'm just listening to the reporters, right? And lo and behold, he doesn't have the surgery in February. And he goes and gets a second opinion on his ankle, which is fine. It's fine. You can get a second opinion. You can get a third opinion. You can get a fourth opinion. Guess what? The NFL pays for it all, right? So the second opinion tells him that we can let it heal naturally, which more than not, most players would rather not go under the knife. Nobody wants to necessarily be cut on all the time, right? So they they go that route. But here's where it gets a little hazy. Michael Thomas' offseason home is in California. It's not in New Orleans. It's not in Louisiana, right? He's from Los Angeles. It's in California. And it's okay if you want to let your foot heal naturally through, probably some therapy or whatever, But then the Saints come calling because they want to see how it's progressing. They want to know what's going on, how's their star wide receiver coming along, and you ignore the phone calls. Okay, all right, okay, you ignore the phone call. It's just a doctor calling, no big deal. I talk to him whenever I see him, I get back with him later. You probably out there spending that money. You know what I'm saying? Big deal. You probably spending that money, $20 million a year. The paper got to be spent. What else am I going to? I can't take it with me, right? So I get it. Then Sean Payton calls, and you ignore his phone calls. And I'm sure Mickey Loomis probably called, and you ignored his phone calls. This is where I start to get off the bandwagon. This is where I start to distance myself from the Michael Thomas train, right? And I start to side with the Saints on this. Because guess what? Let's just say your off-season bonus check doesn't show up, right? You be calling everybody. Gail Benson, Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis. You'll be calling the medical staff, the trainers, you'll be calling other players to see if their check showed up. But all of a sudden you can't pick up the phone for your head coach just to say, hey, I'm doing fine. How's the ankle coming along? It's feeling better. You could have been lying. You could have said anything. But you ignored the phone calls. Then you show up in June and now you want to have the surgery? Because guess what? It didn't heal naturally. When you could have picked up the phone in March, April, May, whenever they called you and say, hey, I'm not sure what it's doing. Let me go to the doctor and find out. And maybe you could have had the surgery then. So now you just push the team back and you hurt the team per se, right? And you're liking tweets that they tried to ruin your reputation. You saved theirs by not telling your side of the story. That's what the tweet said, and you put a little heart emoji on it, but it could have been talking about anything, not necessarily just the Saints, right? Just talking about anything in life, right? I would assume, but that's not how NFL reporters work and get their news. Everything is speculation. Everything is going to be the worst, the negative, right? Because that's what drives the news. That's what drives the sales. Negative. There's no such thing as positive news being reinforced, right? They don't do that, right? It's always the negative, right? You see it all the time. People, my folks at home, get on Facebook. Get on Facebook. A fight video will have 2,000 views on it. A graduation ceremony will have 500 views. It just isn't. People are driven by negativity, right? So this week we get the report that that Michael Thomas wants to be traded. Oh, Mike says he wants to be traded from the New Orleans Saints. Reported by Ian Rappaport. Ian Rappaport isn't even a Saints detail reporter. Now, if the news had come from the ESPN New Orleans Saints reporter, you might have a little, there might be some kind of substance there. Here's my thing about that. First of all, Michael Thomas can want whatever he would want. This ain't the NBA. You just don't trade players like that in the NFL. That's number one. Number two, Michael Thomas is injured. He just had surgery. We know for a fact he ain't had the surgery now. So no team would reach out to trade for him, number one. And number two, you just can't trade an injured player. Period, point blank. Number three, Michael Thomas is owed a whole lot of money. $33 million over the next 2 years, which if you traded him would become dead cap money because the Saints are on the hook for it. So Saints ain't trading nobody, nowhere, and gonna have $33 million count against their cap when this year alone they were over the cap by almost $100 million. And they had to cut all kinds of players, all sorts of players to get under that cap. And they're cap strapped because Mickey Loomis has just been kicking the can down the road for the last 10 years. And it came time to pay the piper due to COVID-19 and the salary cap being reduced by the NFL because there was no revenue. Salary cap goes up every year. But this year, due to no fans in the stands, there's no revenue. They had to lower the cap. $33 million? You're not trading him. So let's get this straight. Michael Thomas says he wants to be traded. He doesn't. I am sure, and I would put everything I own on it that he didn't say that, number one. Number two, if he did say it, he can't be traded because he's injured, and you can't trade an injured player. Number three, no NFL team would try to trade for an injured player. Number four, he's owed $33 million over the next 2 years. You can't do it. It will be fiscally irresponsible. It will be medically irresponsible. And for Michael Thomas, and accountability, it's irresponsible for him to ignore phone calls and then get upset when your employer is upset because you did not have the surgery. And here's the thing, the Saints supported Michael Thomas going out and getting a second opinion because there's one thing they tell you about medicals and doctors, like no one can tell you how you feel, right? They can't tell you how you feel. You can say, hey, I'm not feeling right. No one can say it's in your head. It doesn't work that way because only you know how you feel. So they're going to support whatever decision that you say. If you say you wanted a 15th opinion, the NFL would have paid for it. But at some point in time, you have to accept responsibility. And it is imperative that in this case, you side with the Saints and not Michael Thomas, because there's nobody else to blame for this situation besides Michael Thomas. He ignored the phone calls. Saints didn't ignore his calls. He ignored the Saints' phone calls. He decided to get a second opinion, and the Saints supported it, and the doctor told him it can heal naturally. Now, at some point, you should have had a follow-up with a doctor, the one more than likely the one that gave you the second opinion, to find out if it was healing naturally. How was the progression coming along? And the doctor, in his medical opinion, because this is what it is, medical opinions, would have told you if he's seen it progressing to a certain state. Or if he said, well, I thought we can do it this way, but it seems as though we're going to have to take the surgery route. That's how it was supposed to work. Now let's move on to some other news, okay? This week, Dennis Schroder has finally found a basketball home with the Boston Celtics. He signed a 1-year, $5.9 million deal after turning down 2 deals with the Lakers. The Lakers in early February offered Dennis Schroder I think 3-year and $40 million deal. I believe it was 40 some $million. Yeah. He turned it down. They came back with a different deal for 4 years, $84 million. And he turned that down. Okay, cool. Turn it down. You're going to bet on yourself, right? Then you go into the playoffs and you look like sugar honey iced tea. And guess what? You don't get a deal from nobody. Nobody. The Lakers trade for Russell Westbrook. So bye-bye to you, right? And you end up signing a 1-year, $5.9 million deal. Talk about, they say, these young folks say, fumbled the bag, right? Now, don't get me wrong. $5.9 million is nothing to sneeze at. It's a lot of money. But when you put it in context to you having a deal for 4 years and $84 million being your highest offer, and you telling them kick rocks, and ended up with a $5.9 million for 1 year, you got to be the dumbest alive. And if your agent is the one that told you to turn that down, I think I can get you more money, you need to fire him. But then again, when you fire him, tell him you're firing yourself too. Because ultimately it's your decision. And the agent didn't expect for you to go into the playoffs and look like you don't belong on the Lakers, on the South Bay Lakers, let alone the LA Lakers. You played like you was auditioning for the point guard spot in Shanghai. So when you fire your agent, fire yourself too. Okay? But man, you don't make that up. You can't make it up. You're not going to make up that type of money, right? And you go into the Boston Celtics, man, that's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart team. You're coming off the bench. You're not starting over Marcus Smart at point guard. They may play you together, but you ain't starting over him. And to the people that want to hate on LeBron, to find some kind of way to blame LeBron for this, you are goofy, you are short bus special, and you don't belong anywhere near knives, because you might be a little crazy. People want to call LeBron James the GM so bad, right? Let's take this angle. Let's say LeBron James is the GM, right? Like you want us to do in your world. Let's say he is the GM. Then the GM offered Dennis Schroder 2 contracts. Dennis Schroder turned down the first one. Then you come back with more money on the second one and you turn it down again. How's LeBron to blame for this? How do you blame LeBron for this? Let's just say he is the GM, right? Then he offered him 2 contracts. Dennis is a moron. And his agent shouldn't be representing Mickey Mouse, let alone a professional basketball. Like, should be representing nobody. 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 They should take his license away. If it's his fault. If this is solely on Dennis, then he got what he deserved. That's going to be an episode of the day for the Goon Intelligence Sports Podcast Show. Look, like I say, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this channel rolling. and get it out there to the mass public. Hey, man, going back to Michael Thomas, everybody relax. Everybody relax. Dennis Schroder, you idiot. But that's all I got today. $1.9 million. You got to be kidding me.